computer. Looks like we've got most everybody here. Make a quick note. Let's see here. We got Jeff back. Great. George, Chris, perfect. All right, looks like we got everybody. So let's go ahead and let's get going. Good evening, everybody. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the South Haven City Council. It is Monday, April the 19th, 2021, and I will call this meeting to order. If I get a roll call, please, Ms. Megan.
Jeff Arnold,
Here.
Chris Campbell,
Here.
Joe Reeser,
Here.
Steve Schlock, George Sleeper,
Here.
Letitia Wilkins,
Here.
Scott Smith.
Here.
This is George Sleeper. I make a motion to excuse Councilmember Schlock.
Jeff
Chris
Arnold.
Campbell, I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to excuse Councilmember Schlock. We'll need a roll call, please.
Arnold,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. That takes us to the approval of the agenda.
This is Jeff Arnold, make a motion to approve the agenda.
George Sleeper, I second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Thank you for those. Is there any discussion about the agenda? Seeing none, this will be a roll call vote.
Campbell,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
and Smith.
Call me out there. Sorry, yes. You faded out there.
Oh,
Very
sorry.
good. That takes us, next, we're going to have an update on the Palisades / Entergy nuclear closure from Mr. Nick Culp and Mr. Mick Middle. And I appreciate them joining on the phone call for us on this one. We've known this is happening for a while. I've asked for some regular updates, and I think over the next year and a half, we will be hearing frequently from these very fine gentlemen. So I will, at this time, unless Kate, you have something else to add, I will turn it over to Nick and Mick, and they can tell us what we should be expecting to see over the next couple months. And good evening, gentlemen.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank the council for having us this evening. I am sharing the screen, and I mean no offense, with an elected official himself, so I'll try to be brief here. So as you all well know, Palisades finished its last refueling and maintenance outage in October of 2020, which went very successfully. We're currently on track for a 2022 closure of Palisades. And everything operationally speaking has gone well thus far. We're 181 days into operation without any human performance or safety issues, and hope to continue on that track for the next 14 months of safe, continuous, reliable operation. As you may also know, Palisades is currently in the process of selling, or Entergy is in the process of selling Palisades to Holtec International, a New Jersey-based engineering firm, after the plant closes in 2022 for purposes of accelerated decommissioning. That license transfer is currently pending before the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, and we are hopeful that we'll see their approval sometime this year. The proposal put forth by Holtec International would see that Palisades is decommissioned and remediated and released for unrestricted site reuse within 19 years of the plant closure. So with a 2022 closure, that would be 2041. That is more than 40 years earlier than what the federal government currently allows for decommissioning and what Entergy would take if we were to select the federal safe store option. So for the local community, the transaction and post shutdown sale to Holtec means, site reuse and within potentially 2 decades, which is a significant benefit to the local community. And we can get into further details if there's questions, but
I would just add, this is Mick, I would just add that when that all happens, our number one goal also is the safe operation of the plant for the coming year. And in addition to that, our employees, and I just give a little rundown on that. We currently have about 600 employees at the plant. Holtec tells us that they want to keep about 262 of those for the ensuing few years. We don't know how many years yet. And then we have a significant number of employees that wish to retire. And we have other employees that want to stay with the company in a different location. And we've offered those employees the opportunity to stay, help with their transition to an additional site someplace else other than Palisades. And then we have some people who are staying with the site, but moving to a different facility, which is about 10%, if our history is true, with someplace else within the company. So, but we have some employees that both Nick and I and many people who are higher up the food chain than we are, to make sure that they transition into the community, whether it's the Cook Nuclear Plant, whether it's with Consumers Energy. But we're very focused on making sure that those employees have a different location within our community. And we understand that's a difficult task because our employees are very well compensated and it's going to be difficult, but we are committed to make sure that that happens.
And so with that, we would be happy to accept any questions from the city council or members of the general public if there are any. And would also make a footnote that we will be happy to return on a periodic basis at the mayor's request to provide further updates. And would also note the Van Buren County Board of Commissioners, we've been closely following, is in the process of announcing a citizens advisory panel related to the decommissioning. We know that Commissioner Patterson has been intimately involved in its creation. We appreciate that, and we're going to welcome the opportunity to use that as an avenue for continued public communication after the plant closes. So with that, if there's any questions, we'd be happy to answer those right now.
Sounds good. Nick and Mick, appreciate it. Council members have any questions? Again, I wanted them to come and start updating us. Joe has a hand up. Mr. Reeser.
Of the people that will be losing their job, forgetting the, putting aside the people taking early retirement, but everyone else either losing their job or offered a job somewhere else, how many people are from South Haven that live in South Haven that will no longer either be employed or will have to move out of South Haven?
Joe, the last time that we checked, there was 137 employees with 49090 zip code. So that takes care of the city of South Haven, some of the township, a little bit of Casco, that sort of stuff. That was 137. Of that, we have not identified because we're just in the process of bringing those people into human resources for them to say, what do you want to do? It's time to fish or cut bait. Do you want to stay with the plant? Do you want to look for a job someplace else, which we will help with? Do you want to stay with Holtec? But that number was about like 137.
Right. And as Mick said, that's the total number for the city of, or the 49090 area, the zip code. We are also, as he alluded to, in what is called phase 1 organizational staffing. And that is the process where we are currently asking current Palisades employees of the full 600, what portion would like to stay on with the plant. And once we get through that and are able to staff up the organization for Holtec to begin its decommissioning work, we're then going to go through the process of who wants to stay with the corporation. So we're very early in the stages of identifying who will be where. But at the end of the process, we will be able to provide you and the rest of the council with an idea of what does that footprint look like for South Haven.
Thank you.
Sounds good. I know one of the questions I think that keeps coming up is and maybe this can come over time, but it looks to me like you said about 14 months, that puts us to June of 2022. Would be a potential around that time for closure. Just kind of what does it look like as far as once Holtec takes over, what the site might look like in a year versus 5 versus 10. And that doesn't have to be tonight, but just, I think people are just kind of curious what's going to transform out there as far as whether it be security, there will be storage, I know there's nuclear waste that can't be transported within the country right now. Will it stay on site? Kind of what's it going to look like, 5, 10 years down the road?
Sure. And certainly over the next few years, we're going to flesh this out further in detail. But tonight we can tell you that by May 31st of 22, Palisades will shut down for the last time. The first month, and that's a rough ballpark figure based off of an industry precedent, the first month is generally for reactor defueling. Once the reactor is fully defueled, we notify the NRC of that occurring. Assuming federal approval of the license transfer application to Holtec, they would become the licensee, the site owner. And at that point, they begin phase 1 of the decommissioning process. The first part of that is going to be putting all of our current fuel on site into dry cask storage, which takes a number of years. And then as you alluded to, Mr. Mayor, over time, the footprint of the site will reduce, for security purposes and otherwise. And within 19 years, Holtec has proposed to bring the site back to a state where it would be considered unrestricted reuse by federal standards. So those first couple of years, there's some major milestones there. And then by 2041, site reuse would have been achieved.
Okay, that's great. And I think that's helpful. I think just for people to start wrapping their heads around a process. So I know it's early, and I appreciate both of you coming and just laying that out for us. Round 1.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Any other council questions before we let these fine gentlemen escape? I see nothing. Very good, gentlemen. Thank you again for the update.
We should also remind, thank you so much, Nick and Mick. We should also remind that if you'd like to make a comment, there's a little hand icon at the bottom of your screen, or dial *9 if you're on a phone. There seems to be no comments here, sir.
Very good. Let's go ahead and let's move on to our update from our Van Buren County Commissioner, Ms. Gail Patterson.
Hello, everyone.
Evening, Gail.
Hi, I have some news. I just wanted to share with everyone. If you have in your ward veterans, you might want to make sure to get the flyer that I will send to the mayor, or who should I send it to about the Van Buren County veterans? Should I send it to?
Please send it to me, Gail.
Okay, I'll send it to Kate. All right. Well, it has to do with the free rides to VA appointments with Van Buren Public Transit, and that began April 1st. And the designated travel dates are Tuesdays and Thursdays to Battle Creek, and their drop-off times 9 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. Return times are 12:30 p.m. and 4:30 p.m. And the veterans would have to make their appointments at the VA, then call public transit to schedule their ride. That's 269-302-0237. And as I said, I will send the flyer to Kate for you to post or have the information. And the veterans have to have the place, date, time of their appointment, their name, address, and contact number to give to the public transit. They have to make sure they have a copy of their DD 214. And veterans can also ask about the free Veterans Ride Card that's available for Van Buren County residents. And the Veterans Service Office, just to remind everyone, their phone number is 269-657-7376. And then another item I'd like to share is QPR. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Instead of CPR, this is QPR, question, persuade, and refer. It's another way of trying to save lives, just like CPR, and for people who may be thinking about suicide. There is a free training. It's a QPR gatekeeper training, May 18th, 6:30 to 8. And there's an email to register. I'll send this flyer also to Kate about QPR. It's being sponsored by Van Buren County Mental Health Department. It's for anybody, it's free, any residents who are interested in learning about QPR and how to help during these stressful times and beyond, to help people to not make that choice of suicide. The Q is for question a person about suicide. P is for persuade someone to get help. And R is someone, you refer someone to the appropriate resources. And as I said, I will send that to the city. Then the last item I wanted to mention is there's a change, or will be a change at the county. John Fall, our county administrator, is scheduled to transition from his position as county administrator into the position of Palisades Project Director. So he will be designated to oversee the Palisades decommissioning, and that's going to begin his job as director July 2nd, 2021. And we're in the process of negotiating with Frank Hardister about his taking over the position as county administrator. Frank Hardister right now is the court administrator for the county. And are there any questions?
Any
Okay.
council
Well,
questions?
thank you.
No, very good. Thank you, Gail.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That takes us to the consent agenda, items A through E.
It should be F, sir.
Oh, sorry, I missed them. A through F.
This is George Sleeper. I make a motion to approve the consent agenda, items A through F.
Jeff Arnold, I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call, please.
Reeser,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Wilkins,
yes,
Arnold,
Yes,
Campbell.
yes,
Yes. That takes us to City Council be asked to receive the unaudited quarterly financial statement. Guess we'll think we're going to be taking, well, I guess we'll go ahead. Let's go ahead and just take a motion second because we'll be approving it. So, yes, Kate, do we need, are we approving this? We're just receiving an update, right?
That's right. You're just receiving the unaudited quarterly financial statement.
Yeah, so we don't need any motion on this. We're good. So go ahead. I see you're here. We got Rosemary taking over.
That's correct. As I mentioned earlier, the finance director is a little under the weather, so we have Rosemary here to help us with summarizing this financial statement. Again, this kind of goes back to what we heard from council, and this is one of your council priorities, is looking at your budget and your budgetary restraint and fiscal responsibility. So here we wanted to give you a snapshot of where the general fund is looking. Of course, these are unaudited numbers, so this may not include all entries or accruals, which could have impacts on the balance. But I wanted to have Rosemary kind of walk you through where we're looking right now and see if you have any questions. So Rosemary, if you want to unmute yourself.
All right, thank you, Kate. All right, so
if we look at the columns going across, we start out with our original budget that was adopted back in June of 2020. We're showing our year-to-date balances for each of the categories through the end of March. And then we have a variance, either positive or negative, and percentage of the budget that we have received in terms of revenue or spent in terms of expenditures. So the first line item is taxes. We collect our taxes in the summer here at the city. So we've collected 97% of our property tax revenue already. We'll receive a final check from the county in either late May or early June when we finally settle. You see, we have some federal and state grants. Some was not budgeted. Those were COVID or CARES Act dollars, grant dollars we received from the federal and state government that were unplanned. So those will be part of the budget amendment that you will receive in June. So it shows that we're either at 100% or we're over budget, which you say, but if it's, as long as it's revenue, that's a good thing. License and permits, those come in, over the months. We still have some more. Charges for services. Those are items that are charged to other funds within the city, and we do all of those in July. So we're at 99.6% for majority of those. Investment earnings. We have a lot of accruals that will get booked at the end of June. You may see that original budget number go down. As you all are probably aware, we're not getting very much interest on our dollars that are invested in the bank these days, but we're trying to maximize where we can. And then miscellaneous revenue, we received an insurance settlement that's included in there. That's a one-time cost, and we'll account for that with our budget amendment. So it's showing that we're over budget. Again, because it's revenue, that's a positive thing. So expenditures, general government, that's going to be your items like city council, city manager, finance, assessor, those departments. Public safety would be your police, information center. Public works would be like your highways and streets. Health and welfare. I am not coming up with that one right off the top of my head. I'm sorry about that. Culture and rec, that would be our parks department. And then other expenditures, that would be like some of the operating transfers out that we do to other funds or outside units. And we have a little bit of debt service. We have a USDA loan that we're paying on out of the general fund. So if you take a look, these are operating revenues and expenditures. Then we have other financing sources and uses. So we have transfers out to other funds. We have property tax equivalent payments. Those are payments we receive from our enterprise funds, payments in lieu of property taxes, and transfers in from other funds. We get a little bit there to offset some debt. So our net change in fund balance, again, the original budget was originally budgeted with a deficit of 484. And I showed you in the budget presentation that that's going to look significantly different when we bring the budget amendment to you in June. Through the end of March, because we've collected almost 100% of our property taxes in the summer, we're showing $2 million plus revenues over expenditures, but we still have 3 months of expenditures, where we won't have that property tax revenue coming in. So we need that revenues over expenditures. Then I show our beginning fund balance, and you can see where our ending fund balance is through the end of March. Any questions on this?
Any council questions?
Looks like Joe has his hand up.
Who's got Joe?
Yeah, I'd like to suggest in the future, and I think it might be too late now, but to have this up on a slide so you can be pointing to all these things. I find it very difficult to keep up with you on all these numbers looking at this sheet of paper. And I had so many questions and you just kept going. I know one of them, you talked about funds transfers within the city. Can you explain what that means? And can you put this up on a slide at some point?
I can put the slide up if Rosemary, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, and then Joe, just FYI, that was part of what, some of this should be playing a little bit of catch up. Our budget workshop tonight, that's what we were going over.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, because I don't have the detail in front of me. I wasn't expecting to have to present this tonight and stuff, but so let me find a report to see if I can't answer some of these questions.
And I can make a general statement that might be easier for you to answer.
Okay. What's your question, Joe, or statement?
All right, just give me 1 second here. So we make transfers out to an annual contribution to the street fund. We make the $50,000 to the stabilization fund, which I talked about during the budget presentation. And then we have a couple of payments out to the debt service, one of the debt service funds, and an annual contribution to the capital projects funds. Those are examples of what I'm talking about is in terms of transfers out. And that would be the line item toward the bottom half of the page. You see the year-to-date balance of 301,000.
Yes.
Okay. Right. So those are examples of what that is.
So can I ask you a general question? And
Sure.
if you want, and Mr. Mayor, if you want me to stop, I'll stop. I don't want to take everyone's time. Would it be better off to hold these questions?
Well, Joe, I would just, I mean, you can ask a general question. I just don't, out of respect for those that were at the 5 o'clock meeting workshop, I don't want to repeat and have Rosemary had to repeat a lot of the stuff that she just went through. So that's all.
Okay.
But
And I'll ask Kate later or someone else later about it. Thanks.
We can do that.
got it. All right. So Rosemary, keep going.
Oh,
least-
well, I was done. I was just answering questions.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, any other just kind of generic questions about what we just presented? And I guess we should also just *9 or raise your hand if any public has any questions. At this time, we'll go ahead and field those. And again, the budget workshop was at 5 o'clock, so I know we had some people viewing that as well.
Doesn't seem to be any hands raised, sir.
Okay, very good. Thanks for the update. Next, City Council will be asked to consider the approval of the following special event applications. First item is special event 2021-10, Bend Yoga at the Beach to be held every Saturday and Sunday morning from Memorial Day through Labor Day at 8 a.m., which is Saturdays, and 9 a.m. on Sundays for 1 hour on the North Beach. Just need a motion in a second.
This is George Sleeper. I make a motion to approve special event 2021-10, Bend Yoga at the Beach.
This is Chris Campbell. I'll second.
Very good. We have a motion. We have a second. Any yoga people out here? Star 9 or raise your hand. Kate, fill us in.
Well, sir, this will be an event that'll be on the North Beach by the pier. Again, this is beginner yoga. One practice will be taught on the beach. They have submitted, I believe, their certificate of liability. They used to be, I believe, in the park, and now they've been moving over to the beach. I think we do have somebody here. It says Leslie Carpenter. If Leslie would like to speak more on the event, I can go ahead and ask her to unmute.
Very good. Good evening, Leslie.
Hello, how are y'all?
Good, thank you. Tell us
Good.
about what you're doing.
Well, originally Roots Yoga was doing yoga classes on the beach. They've been doing that for about 5 years now. And I took their teacher training course about 4 years ago. And they did not need any extra help on the beach, which was totally fine. So I had been doing it in the park. I did not do it last year due to COVID, but I am wanting to take over for them this year. The lady that was doing it had moved away. So I am a local, so I won't be moving anywhere. And they had a great following. And yoga is a great practice, especially now in these times where everything is so audio and video, you know, a good sense of community to get everybody together, still practicing social distancing, of course, but it's a beginner's yoga. It's going to combine physical postures, breathing techniques, meditation, relaxation, and just to help promote mental and physical well-being. So I'm just willing to take over and, you know, follow in their footsteps. They had a great following the past few years. So I think everybody will be excited that this will continue, and great for tourism as well.
Sounds good. Very good. Thank you for the update. Cool. Any council questions or comments? Everyone's got their yoga pants ready to go. I like it. How about public comments? I mentioned that a second ago, star 9 or raise your hands if you had any council comments on this one. I didn't have any a second ago. I didn't see Miss Kate.
Nope.
All right. We've got a motion. We've got a second. No other questions. I don't see any hands up. So let's go ahead and get a roll call, please.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes, special event 2021-10 is approved. Good luck, Leslie. Thank you. Next, we have an amendment to special event 2020-24, which is the South Haven Steelheaders Fishing Tournament, which is going to be changed to a drive-through weigh-in at the Black River Park Fish Cleaning Station. Participants will enter through the Dunkley Avenue entrance and form a line in the parking lot, weigh in, and exit onto East Wells Street. All right, this is more COVID fun. Let's get a motion in a second, and we'll hear from Kate.
This is George Sleeper. I make a motion to approve the amended special event 2020-24, the South Haven Steelheaders Fishing Tournament 2021.
Jeff Arnold, I'll second.
Very good. Motion and a second. And again, public star 9 or raise your hand after Kate gets done. We'll field some public questions. So Kate?
Well, thank you, Mayor. I think this picture, this map here that we had with their help created, I think will kind of explain what we're talking about here. Typically with the Steelheader tournament, the weigh-in is done at the South Marina. Most boats are coming in off the lake and just jump their coolers right there where the weigh-in facility is. Of course, the South Side Marina doesn't really have a lot of space to spread out, especially we're still in those restricted capacity limits, even indoor and outdoor. So the steelheaders came up with this novel approach to go ahead and have the coolers trailered in or dropped off via vehicle down Dunkley Avenue. And as you can see, they'll be winding through the parking lot, giving lots of ways to get traffic off the street there, and then going around through the loop, dropping off at the new fish cleaning station and exiting out of Dunkley Ave onto Dykeman. So that's the proposed modification due to COVID. And it seemed pretty common sense for us. And we think this is a smart move to make sure that we're all being safe.
Sounds good. Good for them. That's a good plan. I like it. So again, any public comments? I didn't see any yet, or anybody from Steelheaders Group online?
I don't have anybody online, but we have been in constant contact, and then of course have met out there to explain and work out the kinks there.
Sounds good. And again, great organization, great individuals in the Steelheaders Group, and I thank them for all they do. And it's bad enough they have to fight the weather on any given year, let alone to have to deal with COVID as well. So my hat's off to everyone involved in that organization. So any other council questions? Got none. We've got a motion. We've got a second. Roll call, please.
Wilkins, Wilkins,
So Tish, we need to unmute.
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Yes. Very good. All right. What we got next? Oh, one more. Sorry, another amendment. Sorry. Next, we have an amendment to special event 2021-06, which is the Safe Kids Greater South Haven Bike Rodeo, to change the event date from April the 15th, 2021 to April the 22nd, 2021.
This is Joe Reeser. I'd like to pass an amendment to special event 2021-6, Safe Kids Greater South Haven Bike Rodeo, to change the event from April 15th to April 22nd, 2021.
Jeff Arnold, I'll second.
Very good. Thank you both. We have a motion. We have a second. Again, *9 or raise your hand for public comments. Kate, I see we're going to be doing it in the future instead of the past. Very good.
That's correct, sir. So this came about that we had, they had given us the wrong date. So we just wanted to put this in front of council because also we want the exposure for anyone looking to attend the event. So it was changed from April 15th, which has now passed, to April 22nd, which will be this Thursday. And again, that time period is from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. There is, I think, about an hour setup and an hour tear down. But if you would like to attend, they have also reduced the number of persons. I think originally they put 500 persons to attend, but they're really looking at around 100. So that really looks a lot better for just occupancy or gathering limits anyway. So that's the only amendment for this event.
Very good. Thank you for that. Hopefully it won't be snowing. It'll be nice. So we have a motion. We have a second. We have any council comments at this time? Seeing none. No public comments? Nothing. Very good. We have a motion. We have a second to amend special event 2021-06 to occur on April the 22nd instead of April the 15th. So let's go ahead and let's roll call, please.
Arnold,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
and Smith.
Yes. Next item, City Council will be asked to consider the following actions regarding a $250 flat rate unauthorized work fee. So first, we just need to open a public hearing.
This is Jeff Arnold. I'll make a motion. We open the public hearing.
George Sleeper, second.
Very good. We have a motion and a second to open the public hearing. Can we get a roll call, please?
Campbell,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. So Kate, why don't first, let's just give us a background on what this is about. We'll have the public comments and then we'll move into the motion for the ordinance and the resolution.
Yes, thank you, sir. I will also ask Griffin Graham to jump in here too. So what we have here, sir, is that in the building department, we have an ordinance on the books that allows for us to double the building permit fee if people are commencing construction without securing their permit. We did introduce this at our last meeting, and we did have a question as to how many, how much is this really impacting the city of South Haven? And I'll let Griffin answer that because I think we reached out to our building inspector and found that information out. I believe that we only had about 1 or 2 a year, but I think according to our building inspector, we've been seeing a market increase in the number of people who are starting construction without pulling a building permit. Griffin, do you want to go into any of that as well as give a further summary of what we're being asked to do here today?
Yes, thank you. I'm happy to. The impetus of this process is that on an average year, the building department catches 1 or 2 situations a year where folks are conducting work without a building permit. Now, it's not unreasonable to think that there's likely more of those situations that go on annually that aren't caught. However, traditionally, verbal warnings from the building department have remedied most situations and prevented them from happening in the future. However, this year, we've noticed a significant increase. We've already had 3 incidents of this nature in the last 2 months. And that has the building department quite worried coming out of a COVID year where building is still going on at a quite high rate. With that, we spoke to the city attorney and looked into what some other communities are doing and have this proposal here before you all. In summary, as we discussed last week, taking into account the first action tonight is conducting the public hearing. 2 other actions are being sought. Action number 1 would be an approval of an ordinance to repeal a section of the Code of Ordinances to allow the city council to then set an unauthorized work fee by resolution. Presently, there's a doubling formula that is built into ordinance that at extremely low levels can be ineffective and at extremely high levels can be legally questionable. So the recommendation tonight is to remove that doubling formula outright from the ordinance and reinstitute an authorized work fee by resolution. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Sounds good. Thanks, Griffin. And just a reminder, because this is the public hearing at this point in time, this is your time as public. If you have questions on the ordinance or resolution process, *9 or raise your hand. Start with that and see if we get any. And then Jeff's got a question. So go ahead, and Jeff, and then we'll wait for the public to jump in.
My question, Griffin, could you just kind of give us an example? If I'm a homeowner and I want to put a new deck on my house, and I just applied for a permit, how much would that be? And if I didn't apply for my permit, what would happen to me? Kind of talk us through that.
Sure. Thanks, Jeff. That's a good question. So included in your packet, you'll actually see that building permits are based on the value of the construction to occur. So for a relatively small project, like you mentioned, maybe you're putting on a deck or doing some minor renovations and your construction costs are in the $1,200 to $3,000 range. Normally you're looking at a permit fee of $50 to $55, again, depending on the specific amount of your construction project. Where currently the doubling formula would double that amount. So let's say from $50 to $100. And in most instances, the department's finding that that's not enough of a disincentive to prevent some folks from moving forward without a permit. Whereas much larger projects, again, when you're getting into projects that are hundreds of thousands of dollars, your permit fee can be thousands of dollars. With this current, and most of the time, we'll also share, most of the time when you have projects at that range, you're having contractors who are much more familiar with the permitting processes in place. So what's being proposed is a flat rate unauthorized work fee of $250,000, which through our research, we predict that will have the disincentive on these lower amounts. And we don't seem to have the issues at the higher amounts. And if for some reason we did, there are other remedies.
Sounds good. Good question. Good answer. Mr. Campbell.
And maybe I'm a little confused on it. I thought it's $250, correct, for the fee?
Correct. I'm sorry. if I
Okay.
misspoke. Yes.
All right.
The flat rate fee would be $250.
But with only having 3 instances, I can see where the idea is that, okay, we're talking a $200,000-$300,000 building and we're doubling it. I can see that issue, but this seems like a little bit of work for only 3 incidents. I feel like we got bigger fish to fry than, this,
Sure.
I will say.
Nope.
So,
And
that's just my
that's fair. I will share. I know this has been something that's been on the building inspector and the building department's mind. We as a city and as a department, we like to work with contractors as much as we can and try to help them through these processes. But the last few months, we've been running into situations that we haven't seen in the past where the tools we've had haven't been working, which has been the impetus of this. So my hope is that this is not something that we have to use regularly. But the reason we're bringing it before you all is so we do have the option in the case we don't have compliance.
Sounds good. Good explanation. Yes, Chris, good catch on that dollar amount. Any public comments? I'm not seeing any from my view, Kate.
I have not seen any hands go up or the *9 that raises the hand for people on the phone.
Okay, let's close this public session then.
This is Jeff Arnold. I make a motion that we close the public hearing.
George Sleeper, second.
We have a motion and second to close the public hearing. I need a roll call, please.
Reeser, Reeser,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. Next, City Council will be asked. Sorry, go ahead. Next, City Council will be asked to adopt ordinance 1066, an ordinance to repeal section 10-27 of the South Haven Code of Ordinances in order to allow the City Council to set the fee for commencing construction without a building permit by resolution.
This is George Sleeper. I would make a motion to approve the adoption of ordinance number 1066, an ordinance to repeal section 10-27 of the South Haven Code of Ordinances.
Jeff Arnold, I'll second.
Very good. We have a motion. We have a second. Kate, I feel like you and Griffin have explained this well. Are there any other council questions or comments? Seeing none, we've already had public comment time. So let's roll call, please.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. Which takes us to the final item on this, which is to consider, City Council be asked to consider a motion to adopt resolution number 2021-08, a resolution to provide a $250 fee for building permits issued after unauthorized work without a permit. Just need a motion.
This is George Sleeper. I make a motion to approve resolution number 2021-08, a resolution provide a $250 fee for building permits issued after unauthorized work without a permit.
Jeff Arnold, I'll second.
Thank you both. We have a motion. We have a second. Are there any other council questions for Kate or Griffin? See, oh, Joe, go ahead.
Yeah, just a simple question. I remember one instance where a landscaper in the city did some work for a homeowner, did not get a building permit. He made his case that he just didn't know. It was a case of ignorance. He just didn't realize, and we waived the fine. And I think that's happened to that same landscaper twice, and both times we waived it. So my question is that a normal practice, or are we going to stop doing that, waiving it? And I didn't have a problem waiving it. I supported it. But what is our position on waiving these fines since we're talking about it?
Joe, based on my conversations with the building inspector, he does the best he can to work with people and try to judge if this is truly a situation where someone didn't know and they made a mistake. And then we can help them get back on track and move forward to get the appropriate permits. Because as we all know, the reason for these permits aren't to make people's lives more difficult. It's to make sure we're keeping people safe. I think these three situations we've had this year that have caused the impetus for this is he's no longer feeling like those conversations are working, those warnings, if you will. He's feeling like we're having some intentional skirting of the rules, if you will. And in those situations, we absolutely would use a tool like this, which is the very reason we're asking you all to implement it today.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Chris, go ahead.
I'm for this. For contractors, they should know. My first thought was homeowners. You know, they're not going to know all these things. A lot of people don't realize you need it to put a fence up. You know, these things you're thinking, well, I'm putting a fence on land. So I think maybe we just need to make sure those things are a little clearer too. We have that bulletin board outside of City Hall. Even if we had a little statement up there, say make sure to look into, you know, building permits, especially we're going through COVID and lumber is worth, 3 times as much right now, but people are still building stuff. So it might not be a bad idea just to inform people.
That's a good point, Chris, and we can definitely do that. We can also put a little note in the city ways that's distributed out with everyone's utility bill.
Good idea. My thought exactly. Okay, we have a motion. We have a second to approve resolution 2021-08. If there are no other questions, roll call, please.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
and Smith.
Yes. And next, City Council will be asked to consider the following actions related to a proposed ordinance to amend Section 1743 of the South Haven zoning ordinance to exclude certain apartments and deed restricted properties from the saturation control ratio as it relates to short-term rental dwellings. First, we need to host a public hearing, so I just need a motion and a second to open that up.
This is George Sleeper. I make a motion to open a public hearing.
Letitia Wilkins, I'll second.
Thank you both. We our motion is second to open a public hearing. Roll call, please.
Arnold,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. So again, public *9 will raise your hand. And I'm going to have Kate go ahead and just explain to us again why we're talking about this, and then we'll take public comment on this before we vote on it.
All right, well, thank you, Your Honor. So we are back again with the short-term rental capping formula change. This was introduced at our last meeting on the 12th. And really what we're looking at is taking our existing ordinance and then taking out other units, dwelling units that cannot be used as short-term rentals because of the very nature of their what they are. So we have units that would, like our housing commission houses and Briar Hills and other places where we have housing for people that are not going to be using it short-term rental. And to go into that further, we have Travis Sullivan, our zoning administrator. Travis, do you want to go ahead and just give us a brief update on what we're looking at here?
Yep, so this was, like you said, this was introduced last week by the city council. This was something that the council asked the planning commission to take a look at back at the beginning of the year. It's also something that the planning commission had been asking to take a look into as well. And so following the council's request, we got this ready for the planning commission. The city attorney drafted up this ordinance. We took it to the planning commission, basically at 2 meetings. We took it to them at the first meeting to in front of them so that they had a chance to look it over and provide any suggestions. At that time, we had not had sufficient time to notice it in the newspaper for a public hearing. So we noticed it and then brought it back at the next meeting for their approval. From there, we brought it to you folks. And again, you introduced it last week. I just want to emphasize one thing in here. Mr. Mayor, I think last week you had asked for the number of permits of non-exempt business permits that would be available if this ordinance were to be adopted. That number at last Tuesday, after the city council meeting, was 128. So based on what you have in that chart right there, that chart reflects the snapshot report that was adopted at the beginning of the year. And so those numbers we have to stick with. That's the adopted snapshot. However, that shows you 168 certificates available as of that time if the ordinance were in effect. If you were to adopt the ordinance tonight, since that snapshot was done, an additional 40 permits have been issued, certificates have been issued. So that leaves us with 128. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear for everyone that that's the current number.
Gotcha. There's still an ample supply. Very good. That answers that. So, Kate, anything else? Otherwise, again, this time, why don't we see if there's any public comments so we can get that part done. And then after the public comment, we can close this out and go into some council discussion.
Fair enough. The only thing to add, sir, is that if anyone would like to make a comment, please raise your hand using the small icon at the bottom of your screen. Or if you're on a telephone or cell phone, just dial *9.
So far, so quiet. Any council comments at this time? I'll give them maybe 1 minute, get 1 or 2 comments, then we can close this and go into our motion. It's quiet. People are ready to rest for the night. How about a motion to close the public hearing?
Letitia Wilkins, I make a motion that we close the public hearing.
This is Joe Reeser. I'll second it.
Very good. We have a motion second to close the public hearing. Can we get a roll call, please?
Campbell,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. Next, City Council will be asked to consider a motion to adopt the proposed ordinance to amend Section 1743 of the South Haven zoning ordinance to exclude certain apartments and deed restricted properties from the saturation control ratio.
This is George Sleeper. I make a motion to adopt the proposed ordinance to amend Section 1743 of the South Haven zoning ordinance to exclude certain apartments and deed restricted properties from the saturation control ratio.
Jeff Arnold, I'll second.
Thank you both. We have a motion. We have a second. Kate, Travis, I feel like we've got enough background unless you want anything else to add. I got a head now. It sounds good. Okay, any other council questions or comments? Joe Reeser, go ahead.
I agree with this ordinance. It seems to put things in proper perspective. I just want to leave this discussion with one thought. It will potentially, on paper, bring down the number of short-term rentals and maybe make it more manageable in our community. But it doesn't address, and I'm not asking us to do it now, not even this year, but at some point we should talk as city council about a different type of saturation, and that's the saturation of certain specific neighborhoods and streets where there are a large number of short-term rentals, so much so that the community as we once knew it is gone and it's become a commercial area. And I do think we at some point should discuss that. So I just wanted to make that comment. I'm not asking anyone to do anything at this point.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Anybody else? Question? I will just jump in. I will be in support of this. Again, I think I mentioned at the last meeting. I think as we've continued to look at this issue, this has really been about single-family dwellings and residential neighborhoods, which is why we intentionally excluded condominiums when we first did this. And a lot of the units we're talking about here are not single-family residential dwellings. These are not in what we would consider our traditional neighborhoods, which has been kind of the reason for this upswelling. Again, we're talking about Fire Hills, Harbor View apartments, again, Housing Commission homes, River Ridge Retirement Village, their apartment dwellings, River Terrace apartment dwellings. So again, just so people are aware, these are, by very definitions, these aren't even rentable units, and really should have never kind of been in there. But we learned, that's one of the things we've done through this process is we have learned more about our housing stock, which kind of relates back to one of our big priorities, which is housing needs. So as we continue to look at developing Overton, we need to understand what we've got to understand what we need. So that's a very good thing we've learned. And I, again, want to thank city staff for gathering all this information. It is a lot of work. I know Ryan's not on the phone, but he is a genius when it comes to putting this information together. So I will just say that we're very fortunate to have him and all the other staff that help us with this information. So we have a motion, we have a second. If there are no other council comments, I see none. Roll call, please.
Reeser,
Yes.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
and Smith.
Yes. Which takes us now to, we will be receiving an update from our police chief, Miss Natalie Thompson. Good evening, Chief.
Well, thank you. And I just want to say I'm happy to be here. I received my second COVID shot this morning. So far, so good. And just wanted to express another thanks to Pastor Joe Wilkins for facilitating communication as to available clinics and whatnot. So just a shout out to him, much appreciated. I wanted to provide an update tonight on some directed patrols that have been implemented in response to input from the community and the warm weather approaching. I have implemented 5 directed patrol details to the South Haven Police Department road officers. 4 of these 5 directed patrols are in the city and 1 is in the township. A directed patrol specifically mandates officers to record time and enforcement actions on their daily activity reports for a specified area. This process can accurately provide information as to resources dedicated specifically to these areas. These directed patrols can be implemented for a variety of concerns and are not limited to those that are traffic or public peace related. These patrols are conducted, of course, in between priority calls regarding life safety and other emergencies. The following, I have a list of activity generated so far for the 4 directed patrols in the city. And this data was compiled through last Thursday. So this is through April 14th. The first area designated is Water Street, Phoenix, South Beach Loop. Kind of vehicles going down Water Street through South Beach, up and back around. So basically we implemented a directed patrol on March 29th. Again, this data is through April 14th. So far we've dedicated 1,432 minutes or approximately 24 hours of enforcement to that area. We've written 2 citations. There have been 2 arrests, including 1 misdemeanor and 1 felony, and 2 vehicles impounded. The second directed patrol location, and again, this was input from the community residents on Aylworth is why this was designated as one of the directed patrol areas, was Monroe Boulevard and Aylworth and LaGrange, kind of Aylworth down Monroe, that general area. Speed was a primary complaint. So we implemented a directed patrol on April 6th. This data is through April 14th. And so far we've dedicated 383 minutes or approximately 6.5 hours to that location. What is significant with that is I think visibility has really slowed people down. And we've also implemented, that is one of the locations we've placed our speed trailer. So that seems to be working on Aylworth. The third directed patrol implemented is on Lakeshore Drive, Lakeshore, Dykeman, North Shore. Hasn't been super busy yet, but we anticipate that will be picking up as the weather gets warmer. We implemented that on April 7th. And so far we've just dedicated a few hours to that area. But I would anticipate that that activity will be increasing as the weather gets warmer. The fourth directed patrol designation has been on South Haven Place. Again, that was per the request of residents who live along South Haven Place. Just because the length of that road, we tend to get a lot of complaints of cedars. And again, that is a residential area, small children around. So we implemented that on April 29th. And so far we've dedicated 200 minutes or 3.5 hours of dedicated patrols. The speed trailer has also been utilized on South Haven Place. So that has been effective in addition to our patrol efforts. The data that I've reported so far is from all 4 squads at the police department. We average 3 officers on duty at a time for a 12-hour period. The shifts run from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. and then 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. So we've got a day shift and a night shift. Again, it's apparent that visibility has greatly reduced the number of some of the violations, most specifically the speed violations. As summer approaches, just for reference, the police department's number of dispatched call for services per month go from about 200 to 300 per month. And then in the summer months, it usually rises to 400 to 500 per month. Also consideration for the summer, we're going to have to really prioritize and specify many areas because of course, much of our time will be directed to each of the 7 beaches. And then finally, I have just a brief golf cart update. And I'm hoping that it is included in your packet. I had sent a PDF file to the city manager that contained the South Haven Police Department's current golf cart registration packet. So that has the registration form, the sticker. We've included a map that designates where golf carts are allowed to be operated within the city. And I believe a copy of the amended ordinance is included in that. To date, and again, this is through last Friday, so I'm assuming we registered some more over the weekend, but as of last Friday, we had registered 13 golf carts. And again, the ordinance allows operation for those on the streets as of April 15th. And just some numbers for last year. Again, for many reasons, 2020 was really difficult, and with COVID, it really impacted a lot of things that the police department did. But for last year, the police department issued 16 citations for various golf cart violations. COVID greatly impacted the number of all tickets and arrests, as our jails and our courts were operating on a very limited basis. And just out of COVID concerns, I had also directed officers to limit contact to reduce exposures unless serious safety issues were presented. So 2020 is really an unusual year for any kind of numbers. So I'm hoping this year we can get some more accurate measures of, what we're doing and what we can do better on.
Sounds good. Mr. Campbell's got a question for you, Chief.
I have to come and get mine inspected, my golf cart. But I haven't seen, is there an actual now sticker where there's numbers that people can see from a distance? That's
Yes, even I can see them. So
okay,
yes,
perfect.
they're more the size of, I'd say it's similar to like a moped license plate. The numbers are very visible, yes.
Okay, cool. That way if we see that 9-year-old, doing donuts and wheelies, we know at least get a number. So, all right, I've got to come and visit you, so I will.
Very good. We look forward to it.
Good question. Very good. Any other questions for the chief? All's quiet. Oh, George, go ahead.
Yeah, Chief Thompson, for companies that rent out golf carts, so that they basically have to get their fleet inspected also?
Yes, generally, and I can tell you that a couple weeks ago, or I think on April 1st is when we started offering the registrations, where we would go to their location. And I know we spent a few hours at Vanderzees getting many of their vehicles registered. So I can speak for that, but I'm not sure of a couple of the other businesses, but we do offer to obviously go to someone's location because it'd be pretty difficult to bring all those to the PD. So I know Vanderzees has done that so far.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's good. Hey, Chief, are you getting any, pushback as far as, gee, we're not able to find somebody to do this for us, or any other things you're hearing?
Do you mean register the golf carts?
As far as like getting some of the adaptations, the seat belts or whatnot, any complaints saying, hey, I couldn't get my seat belt put in, or?
Not as many. We had anticipated a few, especially for individuals who had previously registered their golf carts, and then they have to get a new registration, get the new equipment. But we generally haven't had a lot of complaints. Not as many as we expected, because I think people overall understand that is strictly for safety. So, yeah,
Right.
so
Very
far,
good.
so good.
Good, that's perfect. And I know Vanderzee is willing to work through with us, and if there's other vendors out there, but feel free to, folk can use whoever they want, but we do have a local vendor. So,
Yes.
all right. Other than that, I just continue to have lots of very good positive comments from the community members about commend our police men and women for work well done. So I will echo those sentiments myself.
I will pass it on. It's much appreciated. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, and have a wonderful night. Thanks for keeping us safe as always.
Thank you.
Very good. We are now at that time in the meeting when citizens in the audience can be heard on items not on the agenda. And so if you would like to be heard, *9 or hit the raise your hand icon on your screen, and you will be given up to 5 minutes to address your concerns to the city council.
It looks like we have a Linda Baker. I'll go ahead and ask her to unmute and speak to the council. Linda, you'll have 5 minutes. If you can state your name and your address.
Hi, Linda Baker, 803 Green Street, South Haven. I'm calling because I'm really hoping that we're going to have the Riverfront concerts again on Thursday nights, and I have not heard a thing about it. I totally am in agreement with canceling Harbor Fest and all those great big huge activities that bring in thousands of people. The Riverfront concerts have been mostly local people. Social distancing would not be an issue. People bring their own chairs. I know there's lots of musicians who are desperate to have some work, and would love to perform live again after this year. I know you approved the Worship on the River. I'm thinking this would be way less people than that. Typically, from what I have been to Worship on the River, and it's usually a much bigger crowd. So I just wondered if anyone's thought about that, or is it happening and I just don't know about it?
Well, Linda, I can go ahead and answer your question. I have reached out to Foundry Hall and let them know that we would be open to hosting them again if they could get some lineups, some acts lined up for this.
Yay.
What I have not heard is the progress on that. When we first started talking, it was early
Okay.
March. So I'm not sure where we're at with that, but we've reached out to Foundry Hall and said, let's see what we can get scheduled.
Wonderful. I will contact Lottie because I was under the impression she had reached out to you and she didn't get a response back. So I wonder if it's just a miscommunication.
No, I've reached out to Lottie and I believe I have the email saying that let's get lined up.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and Linda,
Okay.
Linda, to your point, the folks with the Worship on the Riverfront, they brought their event application to us. We went through the process, and as you mentioned, we approved it. So really, it's a matter of bring us the information, and we'll review it. And obviously, we'll do our best to
Right.
get things going.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Thanks. Good to hear
Appreciate
from you, Linda.
Okay. Bye, Scott.
Have a good night.
You too.
All right. Anybody else out there?
I don't see any of their hands, but again, the raise your hand icon is at the bottom of your screen or dial *9.
Very good. Well, how about, we're not seeing anything right now. Kate, why don't you go ahead? We are city manager comments.
Thank you, sir. I did also want to give a shout out to Pastor Joe Wilkins for his excellent help in getting the second dose vaccine clinic operating and with lots of volunteers. I saw Councilmember Reeser there to help get volunteers in and out in a very timely and safe manner. So that was held at Emmanuel Church. And I know the first round, I think we got 128 people vaccinated for their first round. So I can't say enough to Pastor Joe Wilkins for organizing that. That was a huge lift and we appreciate all that he's doing. I did also want to let the council know that we are having a community meeting for the Overton site redevelopment on April 27th, virtually at 7 p.m. via Zoom. This will be, again, a community meeting. We have this going in the paper this month, or I'm sorry, it was in the Tribune yesterday. It will be in the Tribune on the 25th. It is on our city's website. And we hope to have the agenda posted by this Friday with the Zoom links on there. And again, this is a community meeting to talk about what is the Habitat's plan. And of course, this is just getting some more input, listen to any concerns or any feedback back. The Habitat company has been doing quite a bit of outreach, having stakeholder meetings. We wanted to make sure that we're hearing from the neighborhood. And there's lots of people in the neighborhood. So if you are one of the persons we have not heard from, please do come to the meeting. If you've got comments that you'd like to share about the Overton development, please come to that meeting. Again, it's open to all. It's via Zoom, April 27th, Thursday, April 27th. Excuse me, Tuesday, April 27th at 7 p.m. via Zoom. We'll have that on our city's website on this Friday. I did also want to commend the Rotary for getting a tree planted today on Monday on Stanley Johnson Park, and a number of people out there with their shovels. And then lastly, we have the deadline for candidates to submit their documents to run for city council tomorrow, April 19th at 4 p.m. So if anyone is considering running for city council, tomorrow at 4 p.m. is the deadline. Is that correct, Megan?
It is, yep. And if you have any questions, just reach out to me. My direct line would be 269-637-0750.
Okay. And those are my comments.
Very good. Thank you, Kate. Any questions for Kate from the council? Everyone's smiling and happy. Thanks, Kate. Councilperson comments. Letitia, let's start with you. Good evening. How's school?
School is wonderful, and I don't have any comments. Oh, yes, I do. I do want to give a shout out to Pastor Joe Wilkins for his wonderful efforts. That's
Ditto. Well stated. Very good. Thank you. Mr. Campbell.
I want to repeat what everyone else is saying. Joe Wilkins, that was awesome. Did a great job. Joe Reeser, twice I've seen Joe Reeser over there. Great. And Emmanuel Church. That was awesome. I've got my second shot so people can see me now and come shake. Well, let's go elbows still. But what I was gonna say too. Oh, just as a heads up, I saw a lot of people were confused that they didn't see an article on the Overton project. But just to let people know, notices actually show up in the legal section. So when you look in our paper, look usually in legal section, I believe, or the classified section. It's not always going to be on the front page. That's up to the newspaper to decide what they want to run. So, and that's all I got tonight, or for tonight.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Reeser.
Just a couple things. First, I'd like to thank Natalie, Chief Natalie, for her quick follow-up on some of these speeding issues. I've seen it myself. I've had residents write to me, call me about it. And it's just amazing that our police chief acted so quickly and you could see the results already. So thank you, Chief Natalie. I also had the pleasure today to be at City Hall, and I met our new customer service person, Cynthia. And Kate, you're right. She is not only bubbly like you told me she was, but she couldn't have been more welcoming for a new person. So I was really happy to see her, and I tried to wish her good luck. As everyone has said, thank you, Joe Wilkins, for getting the program put together to give our residents and surrounding neighborhoods those vaccines. Also, thank you, Bronson, for sending your nurses and your personnel to help out. Nothing makes me happier than see people get those vaccines knowing they're protected, as well as our city clerk, our ex-city clerk, Travis, who's now in a different department, and our city manager was there. And obviously, Chris was there. So it was great to see local people getting their vaccines. It's really heartwarming. Thanks.
Very good. George.
Yeah, real quick, I wanted to thank Nick Culp and Mick Midoff for their update on Palisades. It is nice to see boats being docked at the Northside Marina again, and that new the effort to redo the marina really turned out really nice. And it looks like there's going to be some landscaping going in over there too, which will be nice. I wanted to just do a thanks to the Planning Commission for their work on the short-term rental ordinance change, which we just finished up on. I believe this started over a year ago with a subcommittee that met to specifically look at this topic. So it's been in the works for a long time. I'm glad to see it finally came all the way around to getting approved. That's it.
Agreed. Thanks, George. All right. Jeff Arnold, how's education for you?
School's going well for us too. One more standardized test tomorrow, and then we're done with standardized tests with the MSTEP tomorrow. But no, my comment was just kind of self-serving for school and for Zach Emmenheiser. He is a young man at the high school who is an excellent welder, and he built a new statue, I don't want to give away what it is, that will now be at the high school and then greet people when they come into the athletic facilities. So everyone try and swing by the high school and take a look at what one of our students did to make the school a better place. That's my only comment.
Where is it again?
And the gym entrance. So it'll be on the tennis court side.
Okay.
We try to make that kind of a dedicated entrance for the gym when you come to a basketball game or a volleyball game. So it's really great what they've done out there. And so, they've spruced up the front. Now they're sprucing up the back and
yeah. It does look better. So cool. I'll go by and I'll check it out. And sorry, and who made it again? Zach
Emmenheiser. I think I'm saying his name right.
Oh yeah. Yep. No, good.
Yep. Emmenheiser.
Cool. Nice. We'll have to get that checked out. Maybe we'll have to bring him in and have him show it off sometime. Okay. Anything else, Jeff? Oh, good. Very good. All right. I'm just gonna couple quick things. Many thanks again to Joe and company for the work with the COVID shots, and really thanks to a lot of places right now. I hope folks are not timid to go out and get, Meijer, Walgreens. We're seeing a lot of different places. They're becoming available, so don't hesitate to get on that county website, get those shots. If you got questions, talk to folks. I think enough of us that had them now that can tell you it's okay. It's all, everything turns out real good. So get those shots. Speaking of Meyer, Kate, Griffin and I, we went out and had a couple of business site visits this past week, one with Meyer and at the Think Bar as well. So again, we're getting back into those, going out, talking to businesses, hearing what's going on. And we continue to hear that, guess what, we need people, we need employees, kind of battling COVID, but still ultimately looking to hire, very encouraging throughout the community. Again, thanks Rosemary and Kate for the budget workshop presentation earlier. Appreciate that. Also, thanks to Nick and Mick for that update on Entergy. And then finally, sorry, Mr. Schlock was unable to be here tonight. If you didn't hear it, we have this beautiful thing called Michigan weather, and apparently it's going to get cold and maybe snow. And so Steve has to tend to the river and the boats and his day job. So we missed him tonight. But as we talk about boats, and nice to see boats on the river, Steve's out getting everything prepared so they can manage the next couple days, sounds like. So appreciate Steve and everybody that's out there working in that boating industry tonight. And on that note, I will seek a motion to adjourn.
Letitia Wilkins, I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Joe Reeser, I'll second it.
Thank you both. We have a motion, we have a second, and roll call, please.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Reeser,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes, thanks all for being here. Tuning in. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.